All right, folks. So basically, what this is kind of a tour of the blackjack, the baccarat. Sorry, I should have rehearsed this. The baccarat model that I refer to quite often in the baccarat demos. And what you're looking at right now is stuff that's been copied over from BNB, B for Bertie, N for nuts, B for baccarat. Which is a YouTube channel which puts up 500 new random shoes about every 3 days. And what I do is I take the first 10 from every new posting that they put up. So currently we're at number 326, and these in front of you right now are the last 2 in the first 10. And I'm really impressed because one of the problems I had when I first started dealing with this was that they used dark green for the ties. And I just sent a little note saying, thanks so much for what you're doing. You're doing great stuff with this utility of yours. It's a big help, analysing baccarat, figuring out winning strategies, blah, blah, blah. One thing I have to say, I said, was the dark green looks too blue for my old eyes. So if at any point in the future you might be able to make those light green, it would be so much easier. And I didn't really expect anything to happen. And I got a reply back within, a day from somebody who didn't identify himself, but just said basically, can't do anything until the beginning of June, but see what you mean, and yes, I'll do it, And I thought no more of it, and then when, I don't know, the last, whatever it was, 324 or something like that came through, bingo bango, they'd gone from dark green to light green. Let's go back and you'll see what I mean with the dark greens. The dark greens are just, they're just too much. You can see the difference, but it's not easy. It's not. And the whole business of transcribing these things it's a bit of a faff, I don't mind doing it because it's useful. It's good research. It's good data. Or data, as they say here in England. I think they now say data more than data. Actually, we're becoming so Americanized. I can see the 51st star on the bloody flag pretty soon. But anyway, that's what that's about. Right now what I'm going to do is key in the last 3 shoes from Baccarat Win Pro, which is another fantastic resource. I mean, if you're serious about learning Baccarat, you really need to sign up with Baccarat Win Pro. And let me say very quickly, I have no connection with them whatsoever. I make no money from any additional business that they might get as a result of the 5 or 6 people who look at my content on any given day. But they have given me a freebie in that I don't have to pay the $20 a month. I think that kind of concession runs out in about 3 or 4 months. And then I'll whine and probably they'll extend it. I don't know. But it is a tremendous help. And Baccarat Win Pro actually does convert the shoe information into something that's readable in Excel, but it does it in a way that has to be edited and messed with and turned around and reformatted and blah, blah, blah. And I just find it a whole lot more efficient to do it this way. That is to copy their bead plates, as they're called, and then just type the information into Excel, into the model. Now we've done 68 and 69 already, so we're just interested in 70, 71 and 72. Information over here that's important is it says played times 1. Now what you can do with this platform is you can replay shoes, so that if you discover that betting banker all the time gets you into big trouble, find out what happens if you bet player or use the hop. Now the algorithm in this model plays the hop. And there's two things about it. One is that the hop is definitely the right way to go if you can afford it, because it greatly reduces the number of losses over time. And in fact, I think has eliminated them entirely, and we're at about 26,000, something like that right now. I'll take you up there in a sec. But it's fair to say that in the short term, the hop can sometimes get you into trouble quicker. And also the thing that I don't like about the hop is that you have to pay commission. And I have a sort of it's something in my DNA, I don't know, but I cringe at the very thought of commission, largely because I hate the lie that it's 5%. It would be 5% if they gave you a discount when you lost a bet on Banker. But they take the 5% from all winnings and you lose 100% every time you lose on Banker. And because of that, it can become a very high percentage indeed. And just to show you what I mean, let's pop up to the top tab here, and you can see that commission, this is over here in STU, commission is 210,000. Our win is 1.5 million. It's 27,000 baccarat rounds to date. What is it, 512 shoes? So you know that's an average of about 60 rounds. Bet rounds, because I don't bet on ties. I will have nothing to do with ties. And let me see, what else have we got here? We've got commission, which is actually 12%. The thing that I think is most important is that betting player, you would be facing an overall disadvantage, a house edge of 2.4%, right? But the hop eliminates that entirely and instead puts in place what is effectively a player edge of 0.08%. Nothing to write home about, nothing to shoot fireworks up about, nothing to sort of pop champagne, but it eliminates the difference between the number of banker wins and the number of player wins. Of course, something that lots of people tend to forget with baccarat is that banker wins more often. There's no doubt about that. But what you have to do is you have to look at the net value of those banker wins. So here you can see banker won 12,606 times and player won 12,014 times, which is an edge for banker of 2.4% against us, a red edge, right? But banker wins multiplied by 95%, or in other words, with the 5% commission factored in, they drop to 11,976, which is just a little short of the number of player wins. So that's something you need to keep in mind at all times when you're playing baccarat. You know, don't buy the lie which the casinos sell with great enthusiasm, and which shills also sell with great enthusiasm. Shills like Matt Morrow and I don't know, on and on, you know. But there are loads of them. Every time they play baccarat, they back the banker because they'll say, well, banker wins more often. Well, you know what? That doesn't help you one little bit. But here you've got a situation where with the hop, and the hop is set to -3. So after 3 losses, here we've got BBB, 3 losses in a row, we switch to player, right? Then we play with player as long as it lasts, as long as it stays good. And then down here we see, okay, we got 3 losses betting banker because we switched there, right? So then we go back to player and on it goes. Now these things over on the right hand side, well, first of all you've got the obvious one, which is the chart here, which shows you what happens in terms of profit, right? Now this is assuming a honking great bankroll, right? Because up here there's a number which says this is the worst case scenario. In one particular downturn we went nearly £400,000, it's set here because, hey, I'm in Poundland, so I'm using my home currency. that was the worst case scenario, which is, you know, sort of nearly 400,000. Over here is the bankroll low, so the bankroll was threatened to the tune of 216,000, but recovered. These are the big dips here. There's one right here and there's one up here. The rest of them are just little tiny kind of you know, no problem. Here you've got a block of shoes from 572 to 647, and inside that there are just two losses, right? Come down to the next block and you've got just 1, 2, 3, 4 losses, and in each case with those losses the very next shoe produced a win that more than adequately covered the prior losses. Up here it got a bit silly. 29,950, the shoe after the loss of 3,200, and here 18,651 after a loss of only 25 pounds. So that's a bit silly. There are more of these over here. You know, you can see what the real story is. There are 15 losers out of the 512 that we've got in this model. There are 15 losers which averaged 28,500 each, but there are 497 winners which averaged 4.7 thousand, so 4,700 each, and there are 33 times as many wins as losses, but the losses are worth 6 times as much, or cost 6 times as much as we won on average. So, you know, just do the maths there, you know, do your arithmetic, figure that out, you know, one to the other. This number is 5 times as big as this number, 5.5 times as big as this number over here. So there you've got that. Here you've got, if you back player all the way, you'd be 590 behind in terms of number of wins to number of losses. Betting the hop, you're 24 ahead in terms of total number of wins to total number of losses. And then we go on to the next lot, which is more there, it's called, and you've got yet more of these. Now these shaded things here are all BNB shoes, so each is a block of 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then going back the other way, you know, you can see that's 9 plus the one at the bottom, and then 10, and then 9 plus the one at the top, and then 7 plus 3, and then 10, and then 10 there. That's actually 20 total, isn't it? From 3101 to so see, the way I do it is it's 310 1 to 317 10, and that does make sense, you know, I promise you. But this is you know, this is how things look. And again, this is the pattern betting chart to date. 27,000 rounds. Now, it's very easy for anybody to say, yeah, but who can afford to bet like that? That is nonsense. That just doesn't work. Nobody has that kind of money. Well, the truth is, lots of people have that kind of money, and those people are no more likely to win without a strategy than somebody with 1/10 or 100th or 1,000th of their wealth or the size of their bankroll. You cannot win with money alone if you're betting randomly, and you can't win with a brilliant strategy like pattern betting alone if you don't have a shitload of money behind you. You have to have a bankroll which does not need protection. And that's a big deal, you know, I mean, that's hard to come by. Hopefully this will take me to the right place. Yes, it did. Okay, so this is where the very worst happened. And one of the things that I always argue is, in real life, if I wasn't an algorithm, it's an algorithm that's playing this right now. If I were not an algorithm, would I go, okay, so I won 2 in a row, and then I lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, lost again, lost again, lost again. Would I last that long? Would I really play that long? Because the reason that I say that is, with pattern betting, it doesn't matter if you step back, if you say, whoa, hate this shoe, it's shit, I don't want to play here anymore. And you can step back and just gather your wits and your chips and your everything else. And as long as you continue betting somewhere else later, and it could be later that day, it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, could be in another casino, in another country, doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the odds. In every single round, every single bet you make, you face a house edge against you of about, with baccarat, about 1.3, 1.4%, which means that every bet you make is more likely to lose than to win. But behind all of that is the patterns that apply to these things, and they are quite fascinating. Going back to the top, if we come down a little bit, all of these little ups and downs here, these things, and there are many of them, but I stopped doing them because the message was clearly across. You get a little burst of reds, which is the banker, or against you, a little burst of greens, little reds there, greens, reds, greens, greens, greens. So that's what a pattern looks like. And it goes on and on and on. There are loads, there are probably, I don't know, 100 of these, I'm not sure. But I stopped doing them because the point had been very well made, I think. Look at that. We had those ups and downs, and in this particular shoe, number 576, we won £3,050, which was 31% of our total action. And that's a very important figure. You need to keep that number in mind. The percentage of the total action, which is the sum total of all bets, won or lost, okay? If you've got a house edge that nags and chews and bites and just basically sort of scratches away little bits of your bankroll, you can expect, if you're betting randomly, at the very best you will lose 1.3% of your bankroll. But that doesn't happen to us. It does not happen to us. Right now, at 27,302 rounds, we're at 12.7% ahead, plus 12.7% with the bankroll. So, think about that. It's pretty important. Now, anybody can obviously back out of this. You folks are luckier than me. You can back away from these videos, or you can speed them up, or you can do whatever you like. But what I would suggest is forget most of the things that you already know, unless you know as much as I do, and I know quite a lot. I lived in Nevada for nearly 40 years, and I played in Nevada for nearly 40 years, so I know something about what I'm talking about. Forget all the crap that the casinos will keep throwing at you, all about how progressive betting is suicide. It isn't suicide, it's profit. But if you just bet progressively all the time with no holds barred, well, your holds will be barred because you'll be kicked out of the casino. They look out for progressive bettors, and as soon as they see them, they go, uh-oh. Now this particular strategy stops progressive betting at a given point and then goes into kind of fetal mode, kind of like okay, so we drop, we step back, we reduce the bet until we get a win trigger, which might be followed by another win. It most likely won't, because I've got only a sort of, what is it, a 49.35% chance that I'll win. So it's not 50%, and it certainly isn't 51%, but every bet that you make has that same negative expectation. But you've got to keep making them, because as you can see from the greens and the reds here, wins and losses come in bursts. They don't go ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, or anything like it. And of course the green bars across, the horizontal green bars, are all turnarounds. And that's why they say okay here. That means that we did it. Anyway, the next one here is 770, and then we hit a little thing called there we go, and that just sets us up so that we can read the data that we're going to get Oops, didn't do that right, did I? The data that we're going to get down below, go away. I don't know whether you can see that even. So I've got to pick up 770 now, shoe number 770. So I'll pick that up and then go back up here, pop it there, okay, so that it's clearly marked at the top of the shoe, and then I'm going to put it up here so that I can read it, because after a while this one here is going to disappear from view, which will make things a bit tricky for me. Okay, so now off we go. Or no, we don't go, off we go, because it's, there we go. Alright, so now caps lock on, and I go T for tie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this was a crazy shoe. I remember this one. It was it was so many player wins. It was just insane. 13 banker, player, banker, player. And you know, please, I think I've said most of what I need to say. So you know, if you want to go away and do something else, obviously feel free. I mean, I'm not holding anybody against their will. Player. This actually doesn't do us that much good because we need a little bit of stress in order to push the bets up, and that's what we really like, is to win as much as we possibly can. Banker, where are we? 25. I'm talking too much. See, I don't usually do this when I'm talking, so I'm going to shut up, I think. Hopefully you can follow what I'm doing here. But this was quite kind of a crazy. Doesn't usually go this easy with the player. And then 43, you can see my point about putting it up there, because now the one in the left-hand column is disappearing. At number 43, we're at P, B, B, P, P, B, and then 49. Oh my goodness, look at this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tie, and then 55, B, B, B. Damn it. Feels a bit foolish, actually, you know, it isn't real. 61, P, T, T, B, 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 T, B, B, B. Okay, so we've done our job here. We've got a 73 here that we don't need, so we'll get rid of that. Over there, this was number 770. Just put a marker there. Take that up there. 310 is the top line. Control H. 305. 310. Oops, bloody hell, I nearly got messed up there, didn't I? 310. You have to watch your fingers, Ian. Okay, so that's that. Close. Now we hit, because as you will guess, the recalc is off, so I don't have to wait for each entry. Okay, so we made 2,825 that time. We were 23 ahead with the hop, that is. And that is 40%. 40% of our action. That's just daft. I mean, seriously. Anyway, we go down below now and we pick up 771. And you know, in all these guys with their gambling channels, they're betting like fools. They are selling gambling. They pretend they're not, but they are. And they're betting randomly and they're losing hand over fist. But they don't care, because they're getting overpaid by Google. Am I jealous? Well, hell, I would love checks the size of the ones that they get from Google, but I'm not going to. Okay, I've got to delete that one because that's the last one. Put a new one, this one, in up there, and move it over. This shoe obviously is not going to be as easy. In fact, I think it was an absolute bitch, the next shoe, but I'm not sure. So tie B, 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 B. Yeah, this is tedious, but you know, beating the house is work. If you think you can do it without any work, then good luck, mate, is all I can say. B, B, P, B. B, B. 19. B, B, B. B. Beep, beep. 25. P, P. I must have got nasty in the end, mustn't it? $31 is B, P, B. P, B, B. And then 4 P's in a pot. B, P. 43 is more P's. My goodness, it didn't get bad until, look at it, got bad at the end, didn't it? It must have done some damage. Of course, the hop is definitely a different thing to the backing player, which is what I do all the time in the when I'm playing in real time, when I'm doing those demos. 40 BB, PP.
This is a reminder. Drink water.
That's a good plan, thank you. Glug glug.
This is a reminder. Drink water.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had to give blood the other day, and the nurse, when she started to draw, she said, "Oh dear, when did you last have a drink today?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. This morning, I guess." She said, "Well, next time you're doing this, please remember to have a drink before you come, because it makes your blood easier to draw. Because water, as you consume it, goes straight into your bloodstream, almost straight into your bloodstream, thins your blood, not dangerously, but just enough, and that makes it move around better and blah." And so she gave me a little lecture, and I found it, I'm getting on. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that water was a good thing. That's why I've got ALEXA constantly telling me, drink water. But I didn't realise that it made that much difference to the thickness and thinness and viscosity or whatever of my blood. Okay. 7710. I just put that in as a marker because then I can copy this and go down. We're going to be 381 now. V, Control H, 81 and not H2. I mean, if you're sticking with me on this, then thank you. But all I can say is there's a lot to be learned from this, because I learned a lot, believe me, and I think that lots of other people can learn a lot too. The most important being, you got to win more when you win than you lose when you lose. Up here's the secret number. Look at this. Average win 560, average loss 419, average bet overall 442. Okay, so now we hit the magic button to recalc, and this might be tricky. Nope, because of the hop. In the demo, I got into deep shit in the second shoe, but the hop did not. 21% of total action, so that's kind of interesting. Anyway, this one up here dies, and then we come down here to 772 and do the E thing there, and then we go down below and we pick up 772. God, I remember how excited I was years ago when my son got a really nice Apple. And Apple were the first to have the sort of the utility where you could just copy something that's on the screen, just small, whatever size, and immediately put it somewhere else, you know. And it was great. And it's taken all these years for Windows to finally catch up. Of course, you could do print screens, but you had to do the whole screen and then use an editor to take out whatever little chunk you wanted. Whereas now, of course, with Windows, you could just like this, take hold of a little teeny weeny bit and use that. We seem to be, these all seem to be short shoes for whatever reason. None of them are going to 73. Let's see what happens here. It was a dramatic shoe in the demo, as you can see if you go to the demo for 770 through 772. It was pretty nasty. Very often one win is enough to turn you around. Sometimes it's not nearly enough. T. See, look how easy it is with the light green ties. Whereas before, with these small ones, I'd been struggling. And I don't think it's just my eyes. I think that anybody would have the same trouble, but maybe not. I mean, I don't know. And then at 19, we're at BP. It's not very friendly, is it? BP. But mind you, that this sort of like ping pong like that is quite good sometimes for pattern betting, but we will see in a little bit. BB, PTP, B31 is TPB, TPP, 37 is BBB, tie. No, that's wrong. Player. B, I do try and be as accurate as I possibly can. B, P, BT, 49. Oh, this is a bitch, isn't it? This is why you need a strategy which enables you to sort of like go into self-preservation mode after 3 consecutive losses. So 49 is 4 Bs, followed by a P, followed by 55, 3 more Ps, so that would be a turnaround, wouldn't it? TBP, 61, PTB, BBB, 67, PB, BBB. And again, we've got an extra 73 there, which we didn't need because the shoe wasn't long enough. 772 marker and up, and it's 453 top line, 452. Uh-oh, I fucked up. Okay, so that's wrong, so I've got to go back up again. That'll happen sometimes, is you'll see and it's because there was another, you see there's 2 5-2s in there, so that's my bad. So I've completely confused myself now, but I strive for, so it's 453. For accuracy, obviously. Because otherwise the whole thing is bloody pointless, isn't it? Okay, now we're correct. Okay, so now we have the moment of truth. Good. Okay. Nothing too terrible about that. 36%. You know, now let's just go up these last shoes. You can see no desperate nasties because of the hop. 770 had a nasty. No, not even 770 had any nasty bits. So, you know, I mean, I'm not publishing the you know, all of the formulas and all of that kind of stuff, but I obviously, since I'm trying to explain to people that random betting against random outcomes is foolish at the very best. I mean, it's actually basically incredibly stupid. And as I like to say, I mean, the expression that I rather enjoy that I came up with when I was doing the blog update was it's sort of like playing whack-a-mole with your eyes shut. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. There's no, you know, there's no other way to describe it. Anyway, we've gone up to 12.8% here. We're now at 27,516 rounds. I don't know that there's much more that I can say right now. This, of course, can go because we have the information that we need. And like I say, I am saving BNB shoes because they are really helpful. And I want to say to anybody out there who sort of dismisses all this analysis, all this research, all this data, information, whatever you want to call it, you know, anybody who's got the idea that simulations are not the real thing, they are. They are very much the real thing, as long as they are accurate and fair and sensible and reliable and honest, straight, and all those other good things. They have every bit as much value as real play. The biggest advantage being, obviously, that you can re-examine the data, you can reprocess it if you want to, you can change parameters, you can do whatever you feel you need to do in order to come up with the best possible strategy. I'm not resting on my laurels here. I do believe that I could make this strategy better, but I'm just doing my best all the time. My big priority right now is to get the word out. Please, if you are going to the tables in Las Vegas or anywhere in Nevada or anywhere in the world, Macau or Singapore or wherever you play, anywhere in any of those casinos around the country in the United States now, because there are now thousands of them. I think last time I looked, I think there were 5,000 plus casinos now in the USA. And it's a sad state of affairs, I tell you, because what they are in the business of doing basically is profiting from human weakness. And casinos, in my view, are no better than drug dealers. Drug dealers always say the same thing. I didn't put a gun to his head to make him buy drugs from me. He chose to. It was his choice. All I was doing was supplying, fulfilling whatever a demand. And of course the casinos say exactly the same thing. And now the politicians who've enabled the casinos to come into being also use that argument. They say nobody is forcing anybody to gamble. Now, I have no religious or moral objection to gambling. I've been a gambler for as long as I can remember, certainly since the age of 10. You know, when I started gambling in prep school in Sussex in England, a little village called Rudgwick, and the school was called Penthorpe, and it was housed in a fine old house called Gaskins Manor. And that's where I first started at the age of 9 or 10, playing basically blackjack. We called it pontoon back then, but that's a corruption of the French 21, which is 21, of course. I don't know how many Americans know that, but certainly most Europeans know French enough to know that 21 means 21. And English speakers way back when called it, instead of 21, they called it pontoon, which sounds pretty much the same. So that was the game I played, and we used to play for money, we used to play for pocket money, and I won consistently because I didn't go nuts. I always thought, you know, there has to be a way to play this game which doesn't end up with you with no money. You know, and that's how it went. And for years and years I'd play pontoon. I played with before I went to America in 1975, I played with a cop buddy of mine, and we were out drinking, and then we went back to my place, and we were putting on records, and we were drinking more, and Phil says to me, "Do you have any cards?" And I said, "Yeah, I've got decks of cards." And he said, "Well, hey, why don't we have a little game? We're going to play for money." He ended up owing me over £3,000. And at the end of it, he said, "Well, I'm going to pay you because this is a debt of honour. It's a gambling debt." And I said, "Don't be bloody foolish. But what you can do is you can pay me 1%. And I took 30 quid off him, and that was it. Of course, we never played again. But he always remembered that. And he was a cop, and cops can be very useful people sometimes. So it wasn't a bad thing for me to have. And I had some good friends in town who were on the police force, because I was in the newspaper business, so our paths crossed daily. And not crossed badly. I mean, sort of like touched. And but anyway, Phil was a good guy. I mean, he was a decent fellow, and he would have paid me £3,000, but I said no, just give me 1%. So that's where we ended up, and we stayed friends. He was always a little bit embarrassed and never suggested blackjack again or pontoon again. But there we are. Anyway, that's the end of that story. The other thing, of course, is something I want to mention, because I've been rabbiting on this for quite a while. Is there's a regular contact of mine who's a baccarat freak. I mean, he's a seriously, sort of experienced player. And I haven't heard from him now in a week and a half. The last email I had from him, the last communication I had from him, was that he'd managed to work his bankroll up to 60,000, and he had a plan to get it to 500,000. And, I said to him again, I repeated what I'd said to him many times over the months and whatever that we've been in touch. I said, a bankroll that needs protection is not up to the job. There's no sense in it. You have to start out with a bankroll which is basically unbeatable. And that means you have to have money to make money, which is no surprise to anybody. It applies to every walk of life. In the short term, you can get lucky. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I've done it over the years myself. I've walked up to the table with $100 and I walked away with 2,000 or 3,000. It doesn't happen often enough, doesn't happen often at all, once in a blue moon. But it does happen, and you'll hit streaks sometimes that are in your favour that are absolutely stunning. And you've got the dealer saying to you, come on, press, this is crazy, come on. And I remember playing with one dealer, a woman who I absolutely loved, Anne her name was. She was Native American, and just beautiful, and a lovely personality, and just a super dealer. I mean, just perfect dealer. And we hit a streak together, and I was putting out money for her every time. And I've never been a crazy tipper. I'm not a flamboyant tipper like Mr. Handpay, but I do right by them, by dealers, And so I was pushing out a bet for her, maybe $5 a time or whatever, and she was raking it in, and I was raking it in. And then the moment it ended, we both said, like almost in unison, "Okay, that's it." And I walked away with my chips, and she had her little pile of goodies, and we had a lovely time, and it was just one of those things. But that's not how the game is. None of the games are like that. Over time, you will lose more bets than you win, and that is why it's essential to bet in such a way that you win more when you win than you lose when you lose. And I would like you to look again at these numbers up here: plus 557, minus 418. That is a win over loss advantage of 33%. And that's the strength of pattern betting. And you don't want to mess with that. I mean, that's just how it is. Now, the maximum bet here is 200,000. Anybody can say, and they would be right, "Oh, that's ridiculous. Nobody can bet $200,000, pounds, peanuts, whatever, prunes, dollars, donuts, on a single hand." Well, they can, and they do. But the pattern betting strategy is one that needs to be played sometimes over multiple shoes, multiple sessions, multiple rounds, It may require multiple people, but the point is that what I'm doing here is I'm proving the mathematics. That's what I'm about. I'm proving the arithmetic, that it is possible to beat the house consistently. Now, the last three shoes that I entered there, you just saw them, you watched me add them in. I have no control over them. Yes, they're shoes that I played in real time, but I didn't know what was coming, and this is playing the hop, not straight player. You know, I mean, things change. The picture changes if you change the instruction to player or to banker or to the other popular method of playing baccarat is avant-dernier, which is French again, which means before last. So you bet, you know, like for instance, let's see, over here, this bet here would be player because the win before the last was player. So you would bet player, and then of course you'd lose because banker came up. But it's a good way to go, but it's another way that requires you to pay commission. And you pay a little more commission with avant-dernier than with the hop. So, you know, it's up to you. I mean, I always say to people with these demos, take it or leave it. I'm not twisting anybody's arm. I'm not asking for money for this. All I'm trying to do is persuade people that they should not bet if they can't afford to win. And that may be the best advice you'll ever get. Don't play if you can't afford to win. And my friend Mo, you know, with his, I think now, vanished bankroll, it could be that he's making so much money he doesn't have time to communicate with me. I mean, that's a possibility, and I hope that's the case. But I've said to him, a bankroll that is of a size that requires protection is not up to the job. It just can't be done. And I've talked to him about a bag of rocks. You know, you've got a big bag of rocks that you have, that you've got it over your shoulder. And if you need to be able to bring that bag of rocks down all at once to beat the bad guys. That's the casino, the house, the whatever. Not the dealers. I don't think of dealers as being the bad guys, but I certainly think of the house as being the bad guys, because they are exploiting human weakness and are shits for doing it. And again, no gun to anybody's head. The trouble is, as far as I'm concerned, lots of people are gambling with money which is not theirs. It belongs to their families. It belongs to education funds. It belongs to next month's mortgage. It belongs to whatever. Car payments, you name it, you know, life expenses. And instead of going to pay the bills, that money goes into the ever open maw of the greedy bastards who own the casinos. So that's, you know, that's my position. And like I said before, I love gambling, but I don't want to be gambling with any money that's not mine. And so I don't gamble much these days because I don't have very much money. People will say to me, well, if you've got this brilliant strategy, how come you haven't used it to become a millionaire? Very simple answer to that is I've been working so damn hard on developing this fucking thing that I haven't had time, you know. And of course now I'm living in England, I'm not in Nevada, so, you know, I don't get to fool around quite as much as I used to. So that's the end of that little story, and I'm at 48 minutes with this video now, so I better upload it. And all I can say to all of you is great luck. I hope you make a fortune. I hope you do brilliantly. But if you don't have a big bankroll, be ready to go home without whatever money you took to the casino, because that's what's going to happen to you. Maybe not right now, maybe not tomorrow, but soon you're going to run out of money. Because if you win, you're going to be more and more tempted to bet more money. To, you know, big part of this strategy is as soon as you get your okay, your turnaround, which is right here, look at this, you go back to the minimum. And even here, let's see, I've got to go to the top and then for this to work. But even here, you know, we were betting huge amounts of money until finally we got our turnaround, which paid us 19,100 profit. And then what did we do? Back to 25, you know, and that's how it works. That's how it's done. So, you know, take it or leave it, up to you, but I do not recommend that anybody goes to the tables without a lot of money behind them and a strategy that they believe in. And anybody who drinks, you know, who swallows any of the so-called complimentary cocktails that they bring around in vast quantities in casinos, well, you're a bloody fool. Because what that's supposed to do is to loosen you up so that you're even more stupid than you were when you walked in the door, thinking that you could beat the house. So there we are. End of lecture. Hope that somebody gets something out of this, and I'm going to go back to my research, which is not paying me any money at all. Oh, what I should be doing? Well, I don't need to do it with you in tow. See you next time.